Someone took a photograph just before the ship went down. A passenger standing on the deck of the MV Rabaul Queen. The sky behind him dark and angry. The waves already enormous. The ship already struggling. He posted it online. Then the waves hit, and he was gone. 350 people on a ferry built for 295, an unqualified crew, life jackets locked in cages, a ship that everyone in charge knew was not safe enough, sent out to sea anyway. This is not a story about a storm. This is a story about what happens when the people responsible for your life decide your life is not their problem. February 2012, Kimbe, Papua New Guinea. Papua New Guinea is one of the most remote places on Earth. Thousands of islands, isolated villages, dense jungle covering everything. For most people living here, there are no highways connecting them to the rest of the country, no railway, no easy road. There is only the sea. The MV Rabaul Queen is their connection to the world, a modest roll-on, roll-off ferry built in Japan in 1983, nearly 30 years old, making the same weekly run between Kimbe and Leh, a 20-hour journey across the Solomon Sea. For the people of West New Britain, this boat is not a choice, it is the only option. The passengers boarding on the evening of February 1st are ordinary Papua New Guineans, families heading to the mainland, workers returning to jobs, students and teachers going back to school for the new year, people who have made this crossing before, people who trust that the boat is safe because what else can they do? The boat is already overloaded before it leaves the dock. The licensed capacity is 295 passengers. On this evening, at least 350 people board, possibly more. The records are not kept carefully enough to know for certain. The crew sells tickets, people board, nobody counts too carefully. The life jackets are locked in wire cages. A safety drill, required by law, is not conducted. The crew operating this ship are not properly certified for a vessel of this size. The weather forecast shows rough conditions ahead in the Solomon Sea. The ship departs anyway. Late evening, the Rabaul Queen moves out of Kimbe Harbor into the dark Solomon Sea. Children fall asleep on the lower decks. Families settle in for the long overnight crossing. The sea is rough, but crossings are often rough. The boat has made this run hundreds of times before. Nobody knows that this is the last time. Early morning, February 2nd, the darkest hours before dawn. The Solomon Sea has turned violent overnight, waves building, wind increasing. The Rabaul Queen, overloaded, old, crewed by people not qualified to handle what is coming, is struggling. At around 5 a.m., 3 massive waves hit the ship in rapid succession. The first wave, the ship leans heavily. The second wave, she cannot recover. The list becomes dangerous. Cargo and passengers shift. The third wave, the Rabaul Queen rolls over. Not slowly, not with warning. In moments, a ferry carrying 350 people capsizes in the open Solomon Sea in complete darkness before dawn. Those on the upper decks are thrown into the water immediately. The dark ocean, rough, oil-slicked from the capsizing ship, is all around them. 5-meter swells, 45-mile-per-hour winds, before sunrise, in the middle of the ocean. Those on the lower decks have almost no chance. The ferry rolls, and the lower decks flood instantly. Families who had fallen asleep for the overnight crossing, trapped in complete darkness as the water rushes in. The life jackets, locked in wire cages, are unreachable. For 4 hours, the Rabaul Queen's hull remains partially above water. Survivors cling to the overturned hull. Some find floating debris. Some simply swim, fighting the waves and the oil and the darkness. A distress signal is sent. Australia's Maritime Safety Authority picks it up. The rescue operation begins, but help is far away, and the Solomon Sea is enormous. 6 merchant vessels respond. Australian military aircraft fly out over the Solomon Sea. Helicopters. 7 boats searching open water. 238 people are pulled from the sea alive. At least 140 are dead, possibly more. The exact number, like so much about this story, cannot be confirmed. Nobody kept proper records. The ship was overloaded in ways nobody officially documented. When investigators look more carefully, what they find is damning. Crew not properly certified. Ship carrying far more than legally permitted. Life jackets padlocked. Survivors testified they could not reach them. Safety drill required by law never happened. Weather warning issued and known. The ship was sent out anyway. 4 people are charged: the ship owner, the captain, the chief mate, the port manager. In 2017, all acquitted. The court rules prosecution did not prove gross negligence. The families of 140 dead people watched the men responsible walk free. In 2026, justice has still not come. The ship owner has since died, the company dissolved. The people who sent an unsafe ship into a known storm with locked life jackets and an unqualified crew have never been held accountable. There was a man on that ship who took a photograph. He saw the dark sky. He saw the waves building. He felt the ship struggling beneath him, and he took out his phone and he captured what he was seeing. He posted it, and then the waves came. That photograph exists. That image of a dark and angry sky above a ship that was already in trouble, taken by a man who did not survive, is one of the most haunting things about this story. He knew something was wrong. They all knew something was wrong. But what do when the sea is the only road home and the only boat available is the one in front of you? You get on. You trust. You hope that the people who sold you the ticket, who certified the vessel, who counted the passengers, who checked the life jackets, did their jobs. The people of Papua New Guinea had no other choice. The sea is their highway. The ferry is their only transport. When you live on an island and you need to get home, you get on the boat that is going there. 140 people trusted that someone was looking out for them. Nobody was. Not the ship owner who overloaded the vessel and sent it into a storm, not the captain who departed despite the weather warnings, not the maritime authority that certified an unsafe ship with an unqualified crew, not the government that let all of them walk free. Every single person on that ferry deserved someone to be responsible. Every single one of them deserved to arrive.